Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, GC Smith here, and as you can see, there's a lot of magic cards laid out in front of me, or front of you, as the camera will be. I've decided I want to start covering Magic the Gathering on my channel, like I did with the Commander video that's been out, and I will do some more videos on Commander and other things. But in January, in actually the town I'm in at the moment, Dundee in Scotland, there is a PTQ being hosted by one of the local shops. And as I've been trying to get more serious and standard, came top 8 at the game day. I mean, I know it's a big leap for that, but I'm going to be trying to compete in the PTQ. Not necessarily expecting to win, but, you know, aiming to try and come in the top 8, which is going to be a challenge of itself, worthy of trying out and doing. And so I've decided I'd start my road towards that, and the deck that I'm building towards it, with you guys in videos. Now, this is a deck that I got inspired from watching the Pro Tour. Now, I can't exactly get the exact name right now, or remember the exact name of the person I saw playing a deck like this, but I'll put his name and the deck list he was using in the Pro Tour for Theros in the description below the video, so you can check it out and go and see. So as you can see, this is pretty much, you know, okay, you can see it's not a completed deck. As I pan the camera around, you'll see that, you know, it's not all there. Very few cards, actually. But I just wanted to show you what my deck's going to be aspiring to do, and start off at this first video part, and then move on as we do more videos, as my deck expands, maybe evolves a bit, and I add cards here and there. I do have a general theme of what I want to try and do right now, and I will explain to you how my deck will look when it's finished, based on what I want it to look like at the moment. So let's start off then by zooming in, if I can get the camera to work, and let's have a look at the lands. So as you can see over here, my land base is pretty much fully green. Oh, and a Nykthos. So basically my deck's going to be mono green with a splash of red. So I generally want to be running 4 Nykthoses, and the rest forests, apart from, I think, maybe 4 lands, which will be red. Might go for 5 or 6 lands red, but all of them will have green in them. I'm not sure whether to go for shocks or temples, or a mix of them. So we'll see how that works out when it's time to actually do, and as I get closer and as I test. I mean, the stomping grounds, I think, are looking favourable to me at the moment, so they can enter untapped. But late game, you kind of want the Scry when you've got plenty of land and mana ramps. So, yeah, the big one, though, obviously, is Nykthos. It is a 100% include, because there's no reason why you wouldn't include Nykthos in this deck. Because it's mono green, it's kind of going for devotion. Nykthos really helps this deck out loads. The deck doesn't need Nykthos to run. I've ran it plenty well without Nykthos. But Nykthos really smooths and ramps the power of the deck up a lot in the early game. And it just adds a lot to the deck. Even if you get out mid-game, it's suddenly changing. You know, the moment you get a Nykthos down, your deck will suddenly change, and you will feel the change the moment you get a Nykthos down. Another guarantee in the deck are 4 Mystic Elves. Again, turn 1 mana ramp really helps this deck out. There's some really cool combinations. If you get a Mystic Elf down turn 1, your deck's able to do a lot of cool things. Mainly because a turn 1 Mystic Elf allows you to go into a turn 2 Nykthos and still have 2 green mana on the field. So you can play a lot of cards that give you devotion, such as these Burning Tree Emissary, which are also a keep in the deck at the 2 slot. And they really allow you to bring out some really cool combinations of devotion really early on. Another 1-drop here, as you can see, is Experiment 1, using the promo card. I'll try and show that to you up close. I'm not really sure if I'm going to run Experiment 1 in the deck. It's something I want to try out. It works really well with the curve of the deck. Because even if you don't get a Nykthos, if you don't happen to get a Nykthos turn 2, but instead of another forest, but you still have a Burning Tree Emissary, you've got 3 green mana on the field, turn 2. So you can go Experiment 1 into Burning Tree Emissary into another card in your hand if you really want to. It also works, so it evolves there. It also works out as well because another 2-slot card that I'm going to add to this deck but isn't here yet is Sylvan Caryatid. Not too hard to get hold of, and I've already got like people that I can trade with, so they're going to be added to the deck fairly soon. But Sylvan Caryatid, a great turn to a great 2-drop to go in this deck as well. It's mana ramp, it can't be removed, it can't be tapped down by the mono blue devotion deck, so it keeps me going smoothly and can come in straight away after a Burning Tree Emissary, so you get a lot of creatures out turn 2. And as you can see there, on the right over here, is Voyaging Satyr. Voyaging Satyr, another mana ramp card to have in the deck, which basically means my deck will be running between 10 and 12 mana ramp cards. Voyaging Satyr is maybe not an include of 4, but is definitely an include of at least 2 in this deck. Simply because it gives you the ability to untap Nykthos. And when you've already started getting a lot of devotion on the field, you're going to see the deck do crazy, 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 crazy things that you may not otherwise be able to do. On the very far right, my most far right green card up here is Boon Satyr. Now, Boon Satyr I don't think is a card that the guy at Pro Tour ran, I think, or the guy that came top 8 in Pro Tour. So it may be a card I end up cutting, but Boon Satyr definitely seems to be a card worth running in my opinion. It's 4-2 for free, a flash. It gives you 2 devotion, so it powers the devotion quite well. It's capable of coming down turn 3, so you can go turn 1 mana elf, leave it open, see what they do with their mana. And it's actually something I might do, you know, instead of, turn 2 play, end of their turn 2 if you went first, or their turn 3. It's a kind of cool play because it doesn't feed them too many creatures early on. And it kind of, you know, it can be done in response to things like Thoughtseize and stuff, so it's a way to react to a situation, kind of trick them into opening up with attacks they shouldn't be attacking with. You can bestow it mid-combat. I mean, really, the 5 mana cost for the bestow is not an issue with this deck, I've found. I've found that whenever I want to bestow it, I can. The fact that you could theoretically bestow it onto one of your creatures turn 2 is good. I mean, there are better turn 2 plays if you get that kind of hand, but, yeah. The Boon Satyr I definitely want to try out at least 2, if not 4 of, because it's a good card for this deck. This deck is, when it's complete, has a good thing of it has good early game creatures and a lot of late game creatures. They get better at late game, which is why I like it so much and why I think it's a good deck to take to the PTQ. If we come down to this row then, you can see we've got a probably one of the biggest hitters of the deck, Polychronos. He was a big star at the Pro Tour, and it's because he does a lot. He's a 5/5 for 4 mana, which is basically ahead of the curve. A lot of creatures, I mean, okay, green definitely has a lot of the ahead of curve creatures like Cloning Tusker. And white has, you know, green-white, you have the both you have the Worm and the Loxodon Smiter, which both do the same better than the curve kind of power, toughness to mana ratio. But and people are going like, oh well, that's just Deadbridge Goliath, and I would agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that it's monstrous is so good. It's monstrous if I can get it to show to you. If you've not seen Polychronos, I mean, you probably should have. But basically, you can monstrous it for XX and green, and it's not really wanting to focus, and I'm really sorry about that. It's not the best camera in the world. It's HD, but yeah, there's still problems with it, because it's not, you know, a mega big, cool camera like some people have. It's monstrous is XX and green. So, you plug 5 mana, you monstrous it for 2. You put, obviously, therefore, 2 counters on it, and then you can deal damage to creatures equal number of counters you put on it. You can split however you want, and each creature you hit does full damage back to it. It's really good, and the reason why I like Polychronos so much is because of things like Master Waves. Master Waves, such a powerful card in mono blue, And Polychronos is monstrous, allows you to just deal with it. 3 mana, boom, gone, Master Waves. It's also good because of this deck, as you can see, because of Nykthos. And if you actually look at it, I've got a lot of green mana symbols on these creatures alone. I mean, Burning Tree Emissary 2 green is just so good when it gives you enough mana to play another Burning Tree Emissary. Whether, you know, as I say, you can get a lot of Devotion turn 2 or turn 3, and yeah, you're able to like play a Polychronos monstrous it. As you can see to the right, I'm going to put it into frame. You have a Xenagos here, the red-green Planeswalker from the Theros block. I just love this guy. His +1 adding mana, again, in this deck, it's exactly what we want. Allows us to play our bigger creatures quicker. Once we've got more creatures, it allows us to monstrous creatures when we've got them on the field a lot more. But that's not his best ability. I mean, it's okay. It gets him closer to his ultimate, which is reasonable. But it's his 0 that a lot of people are playing for. If you can get this guy out turn 2, which is possible with this deck, and I have done it in the play tests I've done, it is possible to get him out turn 2, and that gives you a turn 2 2/2 Satyr token with haste, which is on the curve. You know, considering you can play a 2/1 or 2/2 turn 1, although those generally can't block. You know, it's on the curve, the damage, and you've got Planeswalk on the field. And that's really why his +1 then starts coming into play, because you don't actually have to dedicate then too many creatures to the field. You just dedicate Xenagos and start swinging away. Now, there are a few more cards I want to add to this deck. Domri Raid being one. He combos so well with cards like Polychronos. When you're able to get Polychronos monstrous, it's just ridiculously powerful in what the monstrous does. It allows, you know, once he's monstrous, he becomes, what, 7, you know, you can become a 7/7/8/8 really quickly. And Domri Raid allows you to use your Polychronos to fight enemy creatures, and you know, it's removal basically. Domri Raid is removal for your deck. And another Planeswalker I want to run, and this one will be running in 4 of, is Garruk, Caller of Beasts, because he is a actually another reason to have Domri is draw mechanic. Domri allows you to look at the top card of your library if it's a creature, put it into your hand, so he starts giving you card advantage. Garruk does that, but better. It's reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Each creature card, you know, you reveal, put into your hand. All other cards go to the bottom of your graveyard in any order. Not amazing necessarily in some cases, but luckily because my deck only runs land, creature, and planeswalkers. You know, if I'm hitting another planeswalker, well, I've already got one on the field. It can be annoying if you hit a Domri or a Xenagos and you really want one of them. So you kind of need to wonder when to do his +1. If it's like a situation where you need Domri this turn or next turn to win, then I really wouldn't +1 him. I would simply, you know, leave him at nothing, or maybe minus him and put a creature onto the field and conserve your mana for something. But if you really get to a point where, like, you know, you're dominating the field, you just want to refresh your hand, you know, bring more questions for them to answer, then the Garruk M14 is just so good for that. Another card also to run in this deck is Arbor Colossus. A lot of people have been telling me that Arbor Colossus is terrible, and watching it Pro Tour, it's just not. It's a 5 converted mana cost, 6/6 reach, which is great mana power curve. But it's also the fact that he also has the ability to monstrous. He gets 3 counters when he monstrous for 6, so you know he monstrous on curve. Becomes a 9/9, and when he becomes monstrous, he destroys target creature with flying. So not only is he perfect for blocking one of the most run flyers at the moment, Stormwrath Dragon, as well as things like Nightveil Spectre and Desecration Demon, but he also destroys one of them at the beginning of, you know, when it becomes monstrous. And again, you can get that out really quickly with this deck. Combo mana ramp with Nykthos with Devotion, and you're hitting 5/6 mana turn 4, turn 3. You know, you're hitting 7 mana turn 5, 6 maybe. You know, turn 4 maybe. And you're hitting a lot. And then another card you need to get is also Nyala, or Nylia, or however you want to pronounce her, the Green God. She's great for this deck, or he's great for this deck. Giving all my creatures trample because people like Polychronos and the Arbor Colossus don't have trample as standard, so you kind of need to be getting trample from that. It's the best way to give them trample, and with this deck it's really easy to power her up, and then you've got a 6/6 indestructible creature. The only problem with her is she does, unlike people like Thassa, she doesn't really benefit. I mean, Thassa's probably one of the best gods at the moment, simply because Blue found a way to keep her powered pretty much constantly, and she's unblockable. She can make herself unblockable for 2. Blue don't have many permanents to play loads of mana with, and for 2 mana you can spare that quite easily to get 5/5, deal 5 damage that your opponent can't block to your face. It's like Aetherling, but requires you to have a lot of permanents. Now, my deck can deal with this. I just need to focus on using things like Monstrous to kill the things granting devotion. So that my deck can do that, and it just needs to swing quickly enough, fast enough, hard enough to make them want to block and die. Otherwise, they die anyway. What other cards have I kind of want but not mentioned? Oh yeah, Scavenging Ooze, also great for this deck. People are going to be using removal on this deck. It's not like people like Blue who have lots of counter spells. It's not like Black where you avoid things like Doomblade. I do have an advantage, I think, in things like Bunny Tree Emissary, avoiding Ultimate Price, which a lot of people have started running. But I think my local meta, the one I see at the PTQ, will be just running things like Doomblade and Hero's Downfall. So all of my cards are vulnerable to the removal suitable for them. So things like Scavenging Ooze, which allows me to turn those cards into life and power. If I'm able to put Nylia on the field, which they won't be able to remove, at least not very easily, it's going to be a lot of fun. There are cards I definitely want for my sideboard. Mistcutter Hydra, definitely a sideboard card. It could be a mainboard card to replace something like Experiment 1, because it becomes a haste with protection from Blue and can't be countered. But generally that sounds like a more sideboard card. Experiment 1 would be something I reckon would perform a lot better on an average day-to-day basis. So there's not really much else to say here. I mean, as I say, as the deck evolves, I'll get in touch with you guys. What kind of stuff I want to run in addition or change here and there. It's pretty much hopefully going to stay mono green. Mono green is definitely very powerful. I think it's more powerful than red green devotion. Red green, simply because red green you're going to be splitting your opponents along different colours. And Planeswalkers are really some of the best red cards. Stormbreath Dragon's a great card, but I don't know. It's a card that a lot, oh, you're running red green. You're running you're running red green. They will see that you haven't had a Stormbreath out. They'll probably sideboard in expecting a Stormbreath. So it really works into my advantage by not running one on that basis. But we'll see what happens really. As I get to play test. If you've got any opinions for this deck, put them in the comments below the video. I'd really love to hear your opinions, and actually not just like, oh, use this card. When you do give a reason, like, oh, use this card over that card, or this card over that card, give a reason for it, like, oh, this card's better than that because of this. It'll really help me in the deck building process. And yeah, it'd be amazing to just do well at this Pro Tour qualifier. I'd say I wouldn't expect to win necessarily. If I won, I'd be ecstatic, but to try and come top 8, and obviously I'll be running in Friday Night Magics as I build it, up to the day. Obviously, the best way to learn your deck is learn it with the pressure on. Start beating Friday Night Magics repeatedly, and start proving your deck can do stuff and learning while playing. So, yes, I just want to thank you very much for watching this video, guys. If you want to see more stuff like this, don't forget to like. If you want to see more Magic videos, tell me. You put in the comments below what kind of Magic videos you want to see. And subscribe, because then you'll get to see them when I do them. So, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.